This is a Big Facts Network exclusive.
Okay, we live in the crib, Vibin With Veto. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on the YouTube at Vibin With Veto. Also follow us on the Instagram at Vibin With Veto. You already know the slogan. We vibrating higher and we chasing purpose over popularity. I have somebody in the building, man, that I look up to. I'm always on his YouTube. I'm always checking out his interviews and stuff like that. And I was like, damn. This dude is actually here vibing with me on Vibin With Veto, bro. Thank you for coming, bro.
No problem,
Real shit, man.
Appreciate you having me in
thank
this
you,
thing,
thank
man.
you, thank you. Tell the people your name and, you know, everything.
Yeah, B High Radio, shouted, Southwest Atlanta born and bred, Mays High graduate, Clark Atlanta University graduate, professor at Clark Atlanta University now, owner and CEO of High Tide Media, the home of B High TV.
Yes, sir.
Make love, make money with Turkin and Money, The Wicked Truth with OG Gangsta Wicked, aka Big Galaxy. And we just over there, and can't forget B High TV, man.
Yeah,
that's why I get busy at.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for coming again.
No problem.
Everybody that sits on this couch, I have the honor to ask them this question. Now I have the honor to ask B High this question.
Yes, sir.
How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail?
Well, as big as possible. I mean, I feel that way even if I can fail, though. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you know, failure is just a part of the course. So we got to go big or go home. That's my whole thing. That's what I tell my kids. That's what I tell my students. You got to go big. You know, the saying always was, if you shoot for the moon, you're going to land in the stars. So you got to go as big as you possibly can, because what happens is when you don't go big, you achieve small and then you realize, oh my God, I got here a little too fast.
Damn.
Then also, like I tell folks all the time, when you don't go big, you're going to have the same amount of struggle and stress going small.
Damn.
So you might as well go big.
Yeah, facts, bro. Wow. That's crazy, man. Let's take it back on the journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you get into radio and podcasting and different things of that nature? What kind of sparked the interest to do so?
Clark Atlanta University, I was a radio, television, and film major. I had a professor by the name of Professor Will, and he was teaching us about radio. So while I was in that class, one of my classmates, who eventually became a co-worker, a guy named Ryan Moore, he was already working at the radio station at that time. So I'd be in class having a good time kicking it.
Right.
And then Ryan was like, hey, man, you need to come up here and get an internship at the radio station.
Right.
I said, all right, bet it up, man. So, I mean, I went up there and got that internship, and from there it was going down. Now, when it came to the podcasting part, it was a case of Professor Will, while I was in school, he said the future of terrestrial radio would be internet radio. At that time, we're talking about 2005. This is before Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, and all of this stuff, and YouTube. Wasn't nothing streaming at the time. So when I got into radio, I spent the first like 5 or 6 years looking for internet radio. Yeah. And YouTube is where I found it.
Damn, that's crazy. Okay, so and then you started working for the radio station Hot 107.9 too.
That's right.
As well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did you segue into broadcasting all over Atlanta and all over the world too as well?
Okay, well, with Hot 107.9, that was part of the internship journey right there. I started interning at Radio 1. At that time, they had Hot 107.9, Praise 102.5 at that time, I think. And then you had the jazz station 107.5 and Grown Folks Radio. Those were all the things that were going on. So when I first came in there, I was working at all of those stations, interning and then eventually board opping and doing production behind the scenes until I eventually got on the air at Hot 107.9. Once I got on the air at Hot 107.9, I might have started working around 2005. I got on the air about 2008 doing an overnight shift. Doing that overnight shift, I was just trying to make it do what it was supposed to, but then I had a guy like DJ Trendsetter Sense on my side. Yeah. And I was talking to him because I had been working with Gangsta Grills Radio, you know, Drama and Sense as the producer of the show. So I was sitting over there talking to Sense, and Sense was like, B, what is it that you trying to do?
Yeah.
I said, I'm trying to be big like drama.
Yeah, facts.
And Sin said, well, can you do interviews? And I was like, man, my show don't come on at 2 o'clock in the morning. Ain't nobody studying that. He said, boy, you better start doing no doggone interviews. So once he told me to start doing the interviews, I was like, okay, how can I maximize it? And that's when I brought the YouTube to the game instead of just doing the interviews, because I was like, you know what? Everybody might not be up at 2 a.m., but at that time, we talking about a crunk Atlanta, so and a futuristic Atlanta. So the clubs was popping, folks was up and tuning in. I mean, that thing was going crazy. But I wanted to make it last forever. So I said, you know what? Let me go to YouTube with the game and start recording all of my shows and uploading them.
Yeah, facts, bro. Damn, that's crazy. How do you prepare for interviews? You know what I'm saying? You have a unique way of interviewing. You have your own style. It's crafted, designed around you. How do you prepare for interviews and different things of that nature?
When it comes to the preparation of the interviews, basically, you want to make sure that you know who you're talking about, where they from, what they've accomplished, some things that they got going on. You got to check the Instagram and make sure it ain't nothing interesting going on there. Check the news articles on Google and make sure it ain't nothing interesting going on there. Then also, you got to kind of be a fan of the music as well. Absolutely. You don't want to be talking to nobody that you don't know nothing about and you got to start from scratch. Even though that does happen a lot of times when you break in artists or, you know, somebody might request to be on the show versus you know.
You going out to get them.
Going out to get them or already knowing them or something like that. So as long as you know the music and you're prepped up on what's going on or the content, I won't even say the music because a lot of times we're interviewing actors, we are interviewing all kinds of people. So you got to be, you know, familiar with their content so you'll be able to question them about what's going on that. And, you know, just show that you actually prepared for it. That's all. Yeah, that's really.
Facts. What's a common misconception people have about what it takes to host a platform like B High ATL?
Oh, the biggest misconception is that it happens overnight. The second biggest misconception is that you ain't got to go hard. Those two right there, if you get those behind you, then you'll be successful because at the end of the day, it's going to take some time. What caused my platform to be the platform was that I just outlasted everybody. I started with a lot of different people that might not necessarily be in the podcast space right now, just the video space. So a lot of times, if you have that longevity, you'll eventually, the cream is going to rise to the top regardless. And then also, you just got to be patient and enjoy what it is that you're doing. So people, they're not really doing it because they love to do it. They're just doing it because they want something to do. And with that being said, you know, if you ain't got no real passion for this, then you are going to wind up quitting and running out of steam real fast.
Absolutely. When it comes down to it, because even starting on YouTube, to get views and stuff, sometimes that should be hard, bro.
That's right.
To get, you have to keep on grinding. When you started off, I know were the views sky high or like okay?
They were just like everybody else's. I mean, I was going back to that video, seeing 5 views, and they came from the 5 times I checked it. You see what I'm saying? I done been there. You see what I'm saying? When you get to 100, you're like, okay, I'm doing a little something, and then you get to 250, 500, then eventually you break over 1,000, and you're like, okay, I can do this. Now the question is, can we repeat this process over and over again? So the main way to be able to do it is through the consistency and the frequency. You know, if you frequently dropping consistently for a long time, you're going to eventually pick up that audience. I mean, the audience is going to grow just like if you're running on the track every day, running as fast as you can. Your time is going to go down every time you get on that track. You're going to have no choice but to get better. Those are just the laws of nature behind it. So you have to apply that to what you got going on with your platform. But in the same breath, you got to understand that with you doing it organically, you'll be building a strong foundation in which you can make money off of versus, you know, if you buying the bots and everything else, it's a lot more difficult to come back from that because also you'll mess up your channel doing that because YouTube, they know what's going on. If you got 100 million views from Thailand, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to rank this channel at the bottom because they ain't bringing nothing to the table.
Damn, that's
so
crazy.
If all of your stuff is organic, it helps you to be able to grow a lot faster.
Nah, for sure. So, because you've been doing this for a while, what's one of your most memorable moments, like being in the podcast space?
One of the most memorable moments, I would say, when Crunchy Black cried about the death of Lord Infamous, that was kind of memorable for me right there because, I mean, I'm a fan of Crunchy Black, and to see the love that he had for Lord Infamous and how they came up together and just the loss of a brother and how that really impacted him and him being transparent enough to share that with me and the audience to let us know that, hey, man, that was my brother. We rode together, you know. That was very impactful to me, and that was one of those moments for me right there.
Dang, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Let me ask you this. A lot of people say you have to put in 10,000 hours to be great at something.
Yeah.
How many hours you think Beehive has put into this space?
I put in my 10,000.
Do you think it's 10,000 or over 10,000?
Oh, it's definitely over. It's definitely over. Yeah. I didn't get the swag and get the rolling though until 10. So once you get to that 10, you're a pro. You know what you're doing. I mean, you don't have to prepare as hard because you can handle anything that's being thrown at you. You can drop down and get an interview going on in the middle of wherever you at. It don't matter where you are.
Right.
So, you know, those 10,000 hours, though, those are important into building up your character and building up your platform and stuff like that. Because without that, you're not going to have a foundation.
Yeah, facts. I like what you're doing with your platform, too, because you're a man of integrity. And I can tell you're not like a clickbait type of guy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I look at a lot of podcasts and a lot of like platforms all day because I'm still studying and learning.
Yeah.
And I really look up to your platform and you too because of that. Like, so what made you stand on that? Like, man, like I ain't gonna go for all of this clickbait stuff. I'm gonna just stick to what I know and deliver it the way I deliver it.
Vito, when I first got into the game, you know, the goal was for me to help young black males that had dreams similar to me be able to get on the radio, promote their song, get a record deal, blow up, and live an amazing life. And as I kept on going in my career, I kept on seeing it happen over and over again. These young males was coming on here, sharing their dreams, happy, excited, you know, dropping records and blowing up and starting to go and lead an amazing life. However, a lot of them started to wind up dying in the streets. And a lot of that stuff probably could have been prevented if, you know, people weren't egging a lot of different things on and stuff like that. So I always thought to myself that if I got a platform and I know that people are watching, just for the safety of my artists and for my guests and for my friends and family that I got coming on the show, I don't want them to leave out of here and find themselves in a situation where they can lose their life behind something they said on my doggone show because it's really that real. Or they could wind up in prison behind something they said on my show. That was one of the main things right there. Once you see that happen over and over and over again, it's like, no, we're not even going to play this game no more because we know as podcasters and influencers, everybody should know their power. So if you know your power, you'll understand that, hey, man, but this authority and this power that I got, I can ruin people's lives, but I can also make them better. So let's go ahead and err on the side of we going to make it better instead of ruin it because you're trying to get some money.
Yeah, fact.
It ain't that serious. And so this the other thing, though, Vito. When you don't take that approach, that's the low-hanging fruit. That's the easiest way to make the money with the clickbait and folks beefing and acting the fool. You can make plenty of money doing that. However, if you don't choose that, then that means you need to get creative and just make better content.
Yeah, facts.
So you can compete against the clickbait and the controversial stuff. So it's like I started to work on my craft to make sure that I could get the kind of content that could still go viral, that would be uplifting and motivational at the same time.
Yeah, facts, bro. Damn, that's crazy. Man, yeah, and I see that all the time, and it's like people always ask me, why you don't do this? Why you don't interview this person? And it's like, it's not that I'm showing favoritism. I just want to interview people that I can learn from.
Exactly.
I can get uplifted and like the energy, you know, you can lift my energy up.
Exactly.
I like to hear people's stories, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I'm on this journey. Sometimes you can feel like you're alone.
Exactly.
So the people that I bring on here, I want to be like, okay, I'm learning from you.
Exactly.
This is how you did it.
That's the same thing I did, Vito. That's how I built the platform. That's why I went to the OGs first, because I was in the game trying to figure out what the hell was going on, and I ain't know shit. So I went and started calling all the OGs to come in. I'm like, tell me how the hell to beat the game.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? And they started giving me the game, and I started applying it. That's the whole thing. You know, with the elders, they got the wisdom. They done been there and done that. So when you ask them how they did it, they give you the game, and if you listen, a wise man, you know, you ain't got to go through it. You just got to hear it. So if I hear the truth, I'm going to go ahead and act that thing out.
Man, facts. You've been able to get people to open up and be really emotional about like life stories and stuff like that. Yeah. What's your approach when it comes down to balancing empathy and curiosity?
Well, you got to ask the questions. You got to ask the questions, the follow-up questions and the probing questions to get down to the bottom of stuff.
Facts.
So that's just the job. You got to get down to the bottom of what the hell is going on so that you can have a better understanding. The person can articulate themselves to the fullest as they possibly can.
Yeah, facts.
And then when it comes to it just getting, kind of emotional and sad, you got to give folks their space.
Yeah.
You got to let them breathe. You
absolutely.
Now, you don't want to just be like, hey, and then, nah, you got to let somebody breathe, man, because if it gets that real, folks be going through stuff. We all going through stuff.
Man.
And I mean, the whole thing is, folks know I ain't there to judge, and I don't care. You see what I'm saying? I'm just there to ride with you.
Yeah,
and if you get to cutting up too much, I might just have to throw the whole interview away.
Yeah, facts.
That's just how that go.
Man, I want to kind of applaud you and Turk, because like you brought Turk on, and it's like, damn, that was amazing to see. Number one,
thank you.
Even seeing him in that space is like crazy, because I grew up listening to him. And to see him doing something aside from music too as well, and he's just as good as he is lyrically doing another thing.
Come on,
I'm like, bro, damn, salute to Turk.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, I want to salute you for bringing him, but also I want to salute how you guys kind of handled the situation with him and BG. And as we see that they're back cool again,
making plenty of money.
But again, you guys were kind of just talking out the differences versus on some stuff like, man, you should do this, and I love that, bro. What kind of made you take that approach with him, being that he's your co-host too as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's called leading by example. I wanted to show people how folks can iron out problems in the public without having to come to blows and all hell breaking loose. And it was just really simple as that. It's like, y'all are brothers. At the end of the day, I mean, y'all are Hot Boys, part of one of the biggest groups that ever exist. Y'all the Jackson 5 of our generation. You see what I'm saying? It's like, y'all gonna have to get back together regardless. So let's make this thing as least painful as possible, so that you don't say nothing that you can't take back, because words are powerful.
Words are powerful.
It's like, you know what, we're not gonna get in here and say nothing that you can't take back. But you have to explain yourself, and talk about what's going on and bring clarity to the situation. And that's what we did. But we just did it in a respectful manner.
It was super respectful.
Exactly. And that's what I like. Man, what's wrong with men showing each other respect?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, man.
Yeah, facts. Nah, for sure. Atlanta is the mecca of hip hop right now, but it was always that way. Have you ever seen a city's a city that was culturally impacted, like when it comes down to music, like you see with Atlanta? Besides New York and stuff like that.
I would think New Orleans, because that was one of their main exports, with No Limit Records and Big Boy Records and Cash Money Records. I mean, Cash Money went on to become the biggest label that ever happened in hip hop. And when P did it, they were the biggest thing in hip hop at his time. So those two labels alone in New Orleans, I would think, kind of changed that whole environment, what was going on down there.
Man, facts, bro. And I would say that too. I think New Orleans and Houston too as well. Like Texas.
Screw, come on, man. Texas, most definitely.
Yeah, because they had Suave House. They had
Suave
Screw.
I mean, Screw. Michael Watts over there doing his thing. Mean, Flip doing his thing. Boss Hog Outlaws with Slim Thug, them, Lil Kiki. So many folks I can't even name them all, but that Screw music pretty much was Houston culture and Texas culture. And what he created with his music still lasts to this day.
Absolutely, bro.
It's crazy.
Man, I like the way, bro, because like even with your interview style, you're completely 100% you.
Yeah.
This is how you talk regularly.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and you can tell that you love being from the South, and you showcase that.
Yeah.
What does the South mean to you?
Well, I love being from the South because, I mean, it's just, the homecoming of it all, man. When you're coming home to the South, it ain't nothing but love around here. And then, you're talking about Atlanta. Atlanta's one of the richest places. It's a black mecca in America. So, I mean, you got so much culture and history that spawned from the South that you can relate to and be proud of and be appreciative of, that, you have no choice but to embrace that, because, I mean, you had people before you that was, I mean, at the end of the day, one of the greatest black men that were ever born. Dr. King was just as country as me. You see what I'm saying? But he was known as the greatest orator of his time and almost all time, probably. So him alone being from Atlanta, it's like, well, now if Dr. King could be himself, the folk ward. Come on, man.
You get off on Freedom Parkway, you like this.
Yes, sir. So it's like, if Dr. King can embrace himself and, his surroundings and be himself authentically, I could do the same thing too.
Man, facts, bro. Do you feel a responsibility to preserve Atlanta hip hop's history throughout your platform? And like, is that like, the approach that you take too as well, putting Atlanta on the forefront too as well?
Well, you have to preserve Atlanta. You got to preserve, right now, we got to preserve the whole culture. When I first started, my main goal was to preserve Atlanta culture and also move the culture forward at the same time. So that's the whole thing too, V. It's the purpose behind the platform. See, that's the difference. A lot of folks is just doing the platform just to have a platform, but you also got to have a purpose behind what it is that you're doing.
Thanks.
So for me, my purpose was to make sure that all of my artists that I listened to growing up knew that they still had some place to come and that they were still relevant out here in the community, and also to show that, those fans haven't gone anywhere. So my thing was I wanted to aggregate everybody's fans and give them a place to reside and enjoy hip-hop culture the way that I grew up looking at it.
Yeah.
And then also, it's just different demographics. As I get older, I might not be as embracing of the younger culture as I was as a young man. I just might be out of doggone touch.
Yeah,
so
facts.
I got to make sure that I keep my culture going so I can do what I do and feel comfortable doing what I do.
Yeah, facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts, man.
True.
Which kind of segue me to the next question. I have a slogan that I always say, purpose over popularity.
That's right.
When I say that slogan to you, how can you mirror that around like your journey, your life, and just who you are as a person?
Yeah, well, when you're thinking about that purpose, my life has been purpose driven. So, I mean, with radio, I wanted to make sure that I could impact Atlanta, give artists an opportunity to blow up, reinvigorate the careers of OGs, and also create dynamic conversations that people could tune in to and learn from, and also be healed from and educated from, entertained from, and informed from at the same time. So with that purpose being there, there's always something to talk about. A black man always need to hear something.
Absolutely.
Whether it's inspirational or relatable or something like that. So that purpose is what drives everything. And then also, I'm an educator as well, so the purpose there is to make sure that the next generation of podcasters and media people can come into the game and take it further than I took it, and also maintain the culture as it is. If they're not making it better, at least maintain it as it is,
absolutely.
and then go in and be successful as well.
Thanks, bro. I want to get some merch to you too, because that's my whole slogan, and like that's what we're pushing with Vibin With Veto. That's the slogan behind it. Purpose over popularity. I'll get you some merch too.
I'm with you.
For sure, man. If you can go back in time and tell your younger self anything, what would it be and why?
Some of those interviews, be a little bit more prepared for them. I interviewed my boy Bankroll Fresh probably about 3 or 4 times. But that was my boy. So it was like, he just coming to the show, we gonna kick it. But I wasn't going as in depth as I probably would have if I would have known that time was of the essence.
Damn.
Yeah, because I was just kicking it with my boys. Like my boy in the studio was at it, man. But I would have went even more deeper with that interview. And that was something that I learned along the way. So from that point forward, I started making sure that every interview I did it like it was my last interview, because I didn't know what the future might hold with that. When I did Nipsey Hussle, my cameraman, his camera went out in the middle of the doggone interview.
Shit.
Yeah, and that was Nipsey Hussle. But that was a spur of the moment situation though, too. They just kind of said, hey, B, Nipsey down here, you need to interview him before he get up out of here. It's so funny because I almost didn't interview him, and then the boss at the time, Hurricane Dave, had told the record rep Cannon, she was like, Hurricane said, no, you have to interview Nipsey before he leaves. So if I would have been a little bit more prepared and had a better camera going on at that time, I might have been able to stretch out a cool hour with Nipsey instead of 15, 20 minutes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, that's crazy. Like, so when you meet these artists, right, and then certain life situations happen and stuff like that, like, how does that make you feel? Because I'm an empath, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, bro, because I had who was on Lotto Savage, was literally just on my show, and then a couple of weeks later he passed away. So it's like
rest in peace, Lotto.
Yeah, rest in peace, Lotto. Like, how does that make you feel too? Because I know how it makes me feel. But
it's depressing as hell.
Hell yeah,
and
man.
It's like, okay, why are we doing this again? And why should we keep on going? What's going on with this? And I'll have to take a pause for the cause when that stuff goes on, man. I don't try to power through that. I just be like, you know what? I'm going to sit back and let this marinate for a minute before I just go right back in. Because, I mean, mentally, you know, you meet these guys and you talking to folks and some of them you just know. And it's like, hey, man, you knew that this man had a family, goals and dreams like everybody else. And to see it cut short is just a sad thing.
Yeah, facts, bro. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. B High.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to vibe with me,
No
bro.
problem, man. Appreciate you having me in this thing.
Nah, this is big for me, bro.
Nah,
because
same thing here.
Really?
Yeah, nigga. I see y'all here ready to help, you know?
That's what's up,
That's what
bro.
I'm saying. I said, Vito, your stuff popping up on my timeline every 5 minutes. I said, Vito out here working. He's out here working.
Damn.
I'm going to sit it right there, sir.
Damn, bro. I remember, look, and again, I remember coming to your like interview with Scotty, and I was just
Scotty?
Yeah, shout out to Scotty ATL. I was literally just sitting there.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is he got me out of the house because my cousin passed the day before.
Oh my God.
So he was just like, bro, I'm about to go up here to do this interview with B High.
Yeah.
And then he was like, man, come on.
Yeah.
So I came up there, and then it was just like, bro, I'm in the midst of like a legend talking to my friend. And it was just like, it kind of uplifted my spirit a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm glad we could do that, man, because I feel your pain on that. That was a crazy day.
Yeah, I was literally just in the house. I wasn't going to do nothing, but Scotty was like, bro, nah, bro, we got to get you out the house. So shout out to Scotty for that too.
Scotty?
Yeah, for sure. Man, for the people that are inspiring podcasters and radio hosts and different things of that nature, if you can tell them anything, what's some gems that you would give them?
Stay down until you come up. You know, hard work is what makes the difference. The ability to outlast is what's going to really keep you in the game. You know, don't expect it to come overnight. You know, you got to work hard. But when you're working hard for yourself, you will see the progress because you are working for yourself. So every number, every subscriber, every view, every guest, you start to see the progress in it all. And you start to see, okay, I'm growing.
Facts.
So embrace your journey and have a good time doing it too, man. Don't be doing this thing worried about where you're going to go and where you're trying to go. Do it enjoying the journey, having a good time. Because, I mean, we only get one life. And it ain't no sense of being stressed out. Like, this is supposed to be something that is fun for you to do. Something that you love to do, a passion project, some of that nature. And you don't want to turn it into work. You know, so don't turn it into work. Don't turn it into a hustle. Just turn it into something that you enjoy doing, and the money's going to come regardless. If you're doing it organically and building an organic fan base, there's no way that you could do numbers and not make money. It don't work that way.
Yeah, fact.
It ain't going to work that way. You get the numbers organically, the money's going to come right behind the organic numbers. But if it's organic, I mean, you're going to be good. So just take your time and grow it.
Damn, you really talking to me right now.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Hey,
So, like,
man,
as you're talking, I'm just soaking this in. Because sometimes, bro, it's like, bro, I look at certain platforms I'm on. I'm on like Instagram and TikTok. I'm doing crazy numbers. Then when I go on YouTube, sometimes I don't really do like the immense amount of numbers. I think my highest was when I interviewed Diamond Dallas Page. I'm a wrestling fan too, by the way.
I feel you.
That was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
So when I seen the numbers on that, I'm like, damn. And then I interviewed Ray Daniels. And
what up, though, Ray?
Shout out to Ray Daniels. And just like screen and Belly Gang Kush and Dro. And it's like those views go like, but then if I interview somebody that I really, really enjoy, like Drew Sidor, I didn't really get like the big numbers on that. Like,
it just depends on your audience too. Sometimes, you know, you might have a male-dominated audience, so the males might not be as into Drew as the females are. So that'll be one of the things that you work on. You got to bring in more people like Drew Sidor to bring in that female fan base. So when you drop a Drew, the females will be there waiting for him as well. You see what I'm saying?
My girl was like, man, you interviewing Drew?
It's crazy.
I had so many people hit me up about it, and I'm just like, man, this shit finna go. But again, I also know, like, with, like you said, with working and like it's like compound interest.
Exactly.
It's gonna keep on coming. You know, I just gotta keep on doing it. But like interviewing someone like yourself, this is big for me. Thank you for coming, man.
Appreciate you having me in this thing, man.
Real shit, bro.
No problem.
Tell the people where they can find you.
B High ATLs, any social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. That's where I'm at. B High ATL. Get down with the movement,
man. Thank you again.
I'm here for it, boo.
Hey, it's been another episode, amazing episode, Vibin With Veto. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on the YouTube. You already know the slogan. We vibrating higher and we chasing purpose over popularity. And we gone. Me and my brother B High.
Let's get it.